Hey guys, Garrett here with Get Knocked. We've got a special guest, Terry Asher. He's a blood tracker, and he's going to run us through kind of what he does and all the details of that, and hopefully how to get a hold of him if you have the need for that. So, Terry,
Yeah,
take it away.
my name's Terry Asher, and this is Oreo right here. She's the one that does all the magic, and she actually don't track blood really. We put her on blood, and she tracks what we call an interdigital gland, and that's how we find our deer.
And that gland, where's that gland located,
It's
Terry?
located between their feet. There's like if you pull their hooves apart, there's like a hole there.
Uh-huh.
And when they're wounded and dying, they release this stuff. It's in a waxy white substance.
Okay.
And so any deer will bleed. You cut a deer, it's going to bleed. So if you train a dog just to track blood, you could be walking miles and miles tracking just blood. So an experienced dog gets to tracking the interdigital gland. And they can actually tell you a lot of times if that deer is dead or not.
Sure.
You know, they just learn the difference in it. And the deer always lay down interdigital gland, but when they're wounded and dying, it's they lay down more and it's thicker.
Sure. Yeah. So that saves you a lot of time. If the deer is not actually fatally shot, you know that you're not going to recover that animal anyways.
It does. Oreo will let you know pretty quick.
Sure.
My other dog, she's still kind of learning, but Oreo, she's pretty experienced, so she'll let you know pretty quick if that deer is not going to be recoverable, or she feels like it ain't, and she'll kind of just lose interest in the track and stuff like that. But people don't want you to stop, so I can keep her on the blood or the track to give people a kind of a sense of, we've done everything we can.
Sure. Well, that makes sense. I'm sure you guys get to know each other working together a lot. All right.
So what's the success rate?
And see, that's kind of a tricky question, okay?
We didn't want to make it easy.
The success rate, a lot of trackers will call out the ones they feel is not a successful track. So their tracking rate will be higher. Okay.
I see. Makes sense.
So they'll call, they'll ask you a bunch of questions and stuff, and if it's not the right blood or whatever, they won't come out and track your deer. Okay.
Gotcha.
Over the years that I've been doing this, I've learned that sometimes the blood will lie to you, because let's say you hit the leg, the arrow may continue on in and hit organs inside, but you're just getting muscle blood.
Right.
It looks a lot like good blood. Yeah.
Well, it just looks like muscle blood. You're not thinking you're going to be a dead animal. It's a couple of years back, not too far from here, actually, a guy shot one in the back leg. It went through the back leg and clipped the guts. And gut shot is fatal no matter what.
Sure.
And we end up finding it, but it didn't look like good blood. So now I try to take almost every track.
Yeah.
Some people's going to agree with that or disagree with that, but I feel that people owe it to their deer if they pull back and release that arrow to at least put out the effort.
Absolutely.
To make sure that deer is dead or alive and try to recover it.
Absolutely.
And you can't always tell by the blood color or what the blood looks like. You can have a single lung shot, think that deer is going to die. That deer will live a lot of times.
Yeah.
With a single lung shot. I would prefer to have a gut shot over if I don't want a gut shot, but if it's going to be a single lung, the gut shot, you're going to find your single lung.
Right.
And a lot of that has to do with people taking too close of a shot, the angle of their arrow and stuff like that, just clipping one lung.
Yeah. So is that on the deer that you do? Obviously, deer you're tracking most of the time. It's a deer that they're not able to recover on their own with the blood trail. So, is there a common shot placement that you see that kind of causes that, or is it all over the
Well,
place?
yeah, the close up. If you're too close
So
up,
just super steep angles and
yeah,
straight down shots.
people wait too long, let it come too close. Your angles are wrong.
Yeah,
It's
right.
to heart and stuff.
Sure.
You see a lot of people just going through the brisket and stuff too.
Yeah.
Or hitting low on the legs. I mean, they're just but the close shot, waiting too long, letting it get up too close to you,
Yeah.
is I think it's a problem.
Yeah.
For most people, you kind of there's got to be that
Little bit of
distance
an
so that
angle there.
arrow will go through the right angle and
Yeah.
stuff.
On the flip side of that, is there a shot that you rarely ever find, like the most common shot where people will make when you don't find the deer, whether they follow up with a trail cam picture later or?
Yeah, we get a lot of that. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what you mean. We have a lot of people hit the briskets, thinking
Too far forward.
too far forward. Usually, if they're too far back in the guts, we can recover that if they handle the track right.
Mm-hmm.
A little high, that sometimes there's a spot there, where it'll go through and not touch anything. You get that sometimes. But the most common one we're seeing that we can't recover is people a little too far forward and going through the brisket and stuff.
Sure.
And so that's probably the one that's the shot placement that's most likely we're not going to find it.
I didn't ask you earlier, but how old is Oreo?
Oreo's about, I guess she's probably about 6 now.
You've been doing this quite a while.
Oh, I've been doing it for a long time. I've probably been doing it for 10 years, somewhere in there. Yeah, Oreo ain't my first dog. And again, my first dog, I didn't know, and I trained it to track blood, and she would drag me all over the place.
Sure.
And so I was new at it, and I didn't really know much about the interdigital gland or anything like that. But yeah, she's trained. We get deer hooves. We'll take a screwdriver and stick it up in there, get that waxy substance off, and we'll put it on the bottom of the hoof, and we'll lay tracks, and that's how we train them to track that interdigital gland.
Yeah.
We'll use very little blood.
Then you reward her after she finds, or how does that work?
Hot dog.
Hot dog. Yeah. There you go.
She likes hot dogs.
Job well done. So, Terry, on tracking, as far as prior to you and Oreo getting there, what would be the biggest mistake you've seen hunters are making to make your job harder on you?
Well, the first big mistake is they start to track too soon. They shoot it, they hop out,
The excitement,
and they jump it.
Yeah.
A lot of them deer, like a gut shot deer, a lot of times you can find them within 150 yards if you give it enough time.
Yeah.
Can't just jump out of that stand, but that's probably the number one problem.
Yeah.
Second problem is they call all their buddies and they start doing grid searches.
Mm-hmm.
Your dog has to work through that because once they step on that scent, they freshen it up and track it other places. So a dog kind of smells time, if that makes sense. So that's how they know which direction to follow a track, is they can smell the scent is fresher and when it's not. So when you're freshening up that track, doing grid searches and stuff, then she's got to work through all that.
Yeah. No, that makes sense for sure.
And so that's probably the number 2 problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the longest track that you've ever had over there?
Oh, probably around 1.5 miles.
Oh, wow.
Like that. Yeah.
Quite a ways.
Yeah.
So just knowing,
Yeah, she can. There is certain things that will kill a scent. It's kind of weird, but there is. But yeah, she'll take and she'll either cross over and find it again, or something like if there's a creek, she'll cross over and search the other bank and stuff like that. But yeah, she'll find it.
What's the longest as far as like how long after the shot did you wait to go in?
Well, and again, that depends on what the blood looks like. I mean, if you got a gut shot, I'd say wait 6-7 hours. If you sure you got a double lung, your angle's right and all that, you can go in a little sooner. But I still would give it time. I just wouldn't jump out there and grab it.
Yeah. So knowing your shot placement, being able to read your arrow blood is super important.
It's key,
as a hunter. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And your angle is very important.
Yeah.
You need the angle.
So you would say if a guy's in a situation where he's got to take that super angled shot, which it happens. I mean, for sure it happens.
It does.
That's a time probably just to give it time for one, and then if everything doesn't look just right, go ahead and just give you guys a call rather than messing the whole place up.
I would say let that deer walk away from you a little bit, and take the shot then instead of doing it right there, because if you have to take that shot right then, the deer's already bolted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, but if you had to, it's just a tough shot.
For sure. And not one that we practice a whole lot. Even guys who shoot a lot, we're not practicing a straight down shot hardly ever.
Or a real steep angle.
Yeah.
So I want to touch on that leash.
Well,
I heard the other day a guy was talking, and I guess that's a law.
This is so. The dogs, we affect their success rate because as humans, everything that we've learned about tracking, I'm just telling you right now, is wrong. Okay, been behind a dog. People tell, they don't run uphill. They run uphill, jump bigger fences than you could ever imagine, and still die.
Yeah.
When we first started out, we'd come to this fence. Matter of fact, it was Oreo. I guess it wasn't when we first started out, but it was. I was still pretty new at it with Oreo, and we come to this huge fence, and I didn't think the deer could have jumped it. And Oreo kept taking me back, and I kept pulling her off from it. She kept going back to it, and I thought, well, I'm going to try to cross this fence. So we found a way through the fence, crossed it, got her back on it, and it was probably 50 yards away. The deer was laying there. So, I guess I forgot what your question was. I got what was your
the leash?
the leash law? Yes. So they have to be on a leash.
Yeah.
And you can't. That's the reason why it's so long. I try to give her enough away from me that she can make her own decisions instead of me affecting it, talking about me pulling her back, because that's the dog's business, is to smell a track and to know what's going on. We'll never understand it like a dog does.
Sure.
And we really been attached to the dog like that. We really kind of screw her up sometimes. As a matter of fact, with your deer, Oreo had been kind of sick at the time, and she kept taking me to your deer, and I kept pulling her off from it.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, when she went up into the brush, I tried.
We were headed to that pond. I remember you said she keeps wanting to go this way.
Yeah.
And I said, well, shoot, let's see. And we went, and the deer was right there.
Yeah.
And it was way closer than what we expected.
Yeah.
And it actually had crashed right under my wife's ladder stand.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. So if we could turn them loose, success rate would be a lot more.
Sure.
Because what we think ain't always what's going on. I've had people shoot deer, tell me they ran the other direction and stuff, put Oreo on it, and they would go, she'd go the other direction and find their deer because in that moment of excitement,
Mm-hmm.
That happens to me all the time.
yeah, the deer will go in a different direction, and those people will swear up and down it. You know,
You really probably learn to trust your dog.
you have
over
to.
the years. I know I used to coon hunt, Garrett used to coon hunt. That was one of the things. You have to trust your dog, and your dog has to know that you're coming to get it at the end of the night. If he gets caught up somewhere a mile deep in the timber,
Yep.
and you don't go get him, he ain't gonna want to go tree no more.
You ain't gonna want to do it anymore, and that's one of the biggest problems is trusting a dog, putting aside everything that you've learned about tracking deer because, you know, I know the old timers will tell you they won't run up hills, they won't jump fences. They will.
Yeah.
They
I'm sure
absolutely,
you see a lot
I've
of
definitely seen
stuff.
that
Yeah.
for sure.
they will. They'll crawl in the middle of a pond and lay down and
Yeah.
stuff.
So you have to have her on a leash.
I have to have her on a leash, and I try to do it as long as I can.
So what is
So
the
she can-
thought behind that on the law being in place that she has to be leashed?
So people ain't running deer.
I see.
So
I
if
see.
we didn't have a leash law, they would people would be out there just hunting with dogs.
Untrained dog, yeah, sure.
Running deer.
That makes sense.
Which is legal in some states.
It is legal in some states have kill dogs. They'll have a dog that tracks chases the deer down, and they have a dog that'll kill the deer.
Sure.
And so it's if it's wounded, they'll
Yeah.
allow that. I
Yeah.
think Florida allows you to have kill dogs.
I haven't seen it on deer. I've seen guys doing that with hogs, but
Yep.
I
Yep.
didn't know they did it with deer.
Yep.
Little different sport, but yeah.
Well, I think they're actually I think they're tracking wounded deer. I may be wrong, maybe off, but
I see.
I think they allow them to have a dog that'll go ahead and you have your dogs chasing, and you'll have one that'll go ahead and finish it off.
I see.
But yeah, a lot of southern states you don't have to have a leash on them, and their success rate's a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, because this dog can make up its mind where it wants to go and stuff like that. Another story, you know, I was tracking a deer for a guy. Oreo went, the blood obviously went that way. And some people, you don't want to let them cut a track. If it's an experienced dog, I'd say it's okay. She wanted to go back the other direction, but I kept pushing her to go that direction. So she takes us way up there in a big circle and come back, and we found the deer probably, I don't know, 75 yards from where we were standing, where she wanted to go.
She knew it the whole time.
She wanted to go straight to it.
That's
Wow.
because she's taking that scent gland that's the freshest, and she
Yeah.
already knew
Yeah.
that was a dead
she was,
trail.
Wow.
She knew where that she was smelling. And some people don't like that, you know, say, well, you don't want to let your dog cut a track and stuff like that. I don't know. You know, I figure if they're an experienced dog, maybe if you're training a new dog, probably not. Let it cut a track because you want it to train to be the track. But if you got an experienced dog, I'd say it's okay.
At the end of the day, it's if you trust your dog or not. How much do you trust it?
Yeah. You just got to trust them.
So back on shot placement, have you ever been on a track and found a deer that when you got up to it, you were complete shocked by the shot being so good that you didn't expect for it to be a nasty track?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I've had them. I've had with rifle. Had youth season. Had a kid blow out the heart. You know, and you wouldn't expect them to go that far, but
Yeah.
sometimes they'll travel.
How far?
I think it went. I'm really not sure. It went a ways. I couldn't tell you in yardage, but if I was guessing, it probably went 150 yards, buried itself in brush,
Yeah.
something like that. And
With a blown out heart.
The adrenaline is insane.
Crazy.
I think with the rifle, it's almost more so with, you know, archery. That's more of a silent
Yeah.
attack. So
Silent
there's not
cut,
that,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that trigger of the sound and the percussion and all that going on.
yeah,
So
the big bucks, man, they're amazing. I'm
they're
telling
tough.
you,
Yeah,
they're amazing.
tough. What's I'm sure you've seen some pretty good size whitetail around here.
Well, and that was the thing. I was trying to get a hold of a guy. The biggest buck that I'd ever found was up around the Richland area, Pulaski County, and I was trying to get a hold of him. I wasn't able to get a hold of him. So I really honestly don't know the inches, but if I was to guess, it was huge. It was probably getting close to 180, I would say.
Yeah.
It just
Wow.
everything was thick.
Yeah.
Everything was real thick about it.
Sure.
And
Yeah. I'm sure guys are a little more likely to call when they know they've shot a nice one. They definitely want to find that.
they are. I've had calls for does.
Yeah.
I have had people call, and that's respectful too.
Absolutely.
You know, I've had them call
Absolutely.
for does and stuff. But yeah, it's generally a nice buck.
What is your fee, Terry?
I usually charge $100 just to come out and try to find it, whether I find it or not.
Yeah.
You know, now if it's youth, it's free.
Okay.
Oh,
know,
really?
yeah.
Wow.
That's
If it's
awesome.
youth, it's free. That's
Yes.
cool.
Yeah, if it's youth, it's free. Because you know, I want to get that. I want to give that kid that that sense of knowing, because it really affects kids a lot more than what
Absolutely.
it probably
Wow.
does us. It gives that kid that sense of knowing that deer's either dead or it's probably going to live.
Yeah.
So it really helps him out a lot.
Yeah. That's super cool.
That's
Yeah.
super
I
cool.
like that a lot. So $100, and that's regardless of location. I mean, do you have a kind of a territory that you're trying to stay in?
Yeah, if I get out there, 50 plus miles, I mean, it might be a little more than that, but usually $100 pretty general,
Yeah.
pretty flat.
Cool.
How many calls do you usually get a year?
Oh, well, a bunch. I mean, a lot of times, especially in the peak of rut, and it goes in phases too. Like we just got out of this phase where we was getting calls all the time. We was getting a couple of calls a day, and then getting closer, to the peak of rut. I mean, we're have to turn people down.
Oh, wow.
There's just not enough trackers. We'll be handing them over to other trackers and stuff, and some of the trackers are turning their phones off.
I bet.
Yeah.
So, are you associated in?
Yes, I'm part of the Missouri Blood Trackers Association. Yeah,
And what's
Okay.
it take to get into that?
you have to have you just can't have a dog. You got to have a dog that's been vet. You have to prove yourself, or you
Right.
can't be there. Either by taking they have like test your dog, and you can get certified that way.
Like trial type.
It's a
Testing.
trial, yeah. And there's like it slipped my mind what it's called, but there's let's see, it slipped my mind what it's called. But there's levels to it, 1 and 2. I wish it wouldn't have slipped my mind now, but or you have to have proven tracks. Okay, you have to have so many proven tracks that you found that over, they have to be of certain distances and stuff like that.
Sure.
Before you can be a member, an actor where they put your phone number on the map, people can call you. They won't just, if your dog want to sign up, they just won't let you do that. You have to have a proven dog.
I see. Do you keep track of every track that you guys run, or?
No, I really don't. And that's another thing. Like deer, it might be a small deer, and that kid is so proud of that small deer, or you might have a doe, and that kid, a kid is super proud of
Sure.
that deer, So we kind of view our job as just tracking the deer. So we don't really. I mean, we don't judge anybody's deer. You know what I'm saying.
Sure.
We just if they want to call us.
Yeah.
We come out and track it.
Absolutely.
We don't care if it's going to be a spike, a doe, or what.
Right.
We're not just for hunters that's got the big deer.
So obviously you guys are busy during the season, but what do you do in the off season to keep
So
her
we
sharp?
I get Oreo don't take as much training. My dude, I have another dog named Dixie. We have to train her a little bit more because she's just 2 years old. She hasn't been on a lot of tracks because I keep Oreo on it. But what we do is we take the old hooves. We'll have people save the hooves from deer for us.
Mm-hmm.
And you can either, there's special boots that you can put them hooves on and walk through there, or you can take them and put them on a stick and just walk it through like that. And so we create scenarios for Oriole to find, and then we shoot for the Dixie and give them a hot dog.
Yeah.
They like that hot dog.
So you guys play around with that kind of all the time then?
You have
Yeah,
to.
for sure.
When it's real hot and dry, we kind of lay off from it because it's really tough for a dog to even do it in the dry weather. And stuff.
All the dust probably really affects the scent.
Well, the scent dries up quick. So like the ground is kind of like a sponge.
That makes sense.
You lay put that scent down, that ground just absorbs it.
Yeah.
You gotta have a little moisture. Matter of fact, people get scared. They'll call you up and say, "Man, this rain's coming in. You know, is that going to affect the track?" Well, it actually helps a lot of times, unless it's just a huge rain and storm, because it freshens up that track. It freshens up that scent.
Yeah.
The scent gets that moisture in it.
So Oreo's a chocolate lab, right?
She's a Labahula.
Labahula. Wow, I got that one wrong. And what's your other dog? What breed?
She's a Bavarian Mountain Hound.
Wow.
That breed is supposed to be one of the best in the world at doing it. And it's proven that she's starting to really, really do well. The thing about Oreo is she'll drag you through the woods. When she hits that interdigital gland and she feels like that deer is dead, she will drag you, and there ain't much stopping her.
Yeah, she's high octane.
I would like that though. It would kind of give me a sense of like, all right, this deer's.
Yeah. When you get a little age on you and you're walking a mile, it really gets it gets rough. I've been crossing fences, have the leash like this, and she would hit that interdigital gland. She drug my hand down the fence, the barbed wire fence, cut my hand.
Yeah.
But my other dog Dixie is very slow, and she takes it easy, and she's it's really pleasant to let her track.
Yeah.
Where Oreo's, she's go get her. There ain't nothing wrong with that. It's just it's hard to stay behind her. Yeah, they all do it differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
What's the?
I'm sure you've got a few tracks that kind of stand out. Tell us a few stories.
Well, I've had people call me on a track, and Oreo would track it. She started turning around. She would come back, want petted and all that, and she'd pretty much gave up on this track. Well, this gentleman started getting very upset. He's like, "No, I killed that deer." And I said, "Well, Oreo's telling us different," and he was mad. And so eventually, I got out of there. And a few days later, he sent me a picture of a deer with the arrow still hanging out of it, and he had apologized to me.
Yeah.
So you get that quite a bit, where people
Sure.
think their shots are better than what they are, and then a few days later they'll see the deer on the camera.
Yeah.
You got pretty fired up at you, huh?
Oh yeah, very fired up.
Have you ever had any situations with landowners and the law being called?
No. I'm pretty particular about, I want permission.
So I remember when we tracked mine, the first thing you asked was, where do you think the shot was? What's the blood look like? And then it was permission.
Yeah.
I need permission from all landowners.
Yep. Yeah, I won't, and a lot of times I ask that person to text me that they have permission. I don't go checking whether they do or not, but I have that individual that I'm tracking for text me and say, yes, I have permission to cross this. A lot of people will give you permission, even if they got posted. If you got a deer shot, most people will allow you to come on there and track a deer.
Yeah.
But you just got to have permission. It's you can't trespass even if you got a deer down.
Yeah.
Have you ever got into that situation?
I have not personally got into it. No.
Yeah.
Used to, we'd have to call the game department to get permission to even track the dog or the track the thing. That's all changed a lot. But one of the things they're still really strong about is you don't you don't take your dog on a leash across on private property that you
Sure.
don't have permission to do.
Yeah. I think there's probably a lot of safety issues in that period, with people not knowing what you're doing, or
Oh yeah,
you could get into some bad situations pretty quick.
yeah.
Would you say you get more bow calls than rifle?
Well, and see, that's another tricky question because there's not as many bow hunters as there is rifle hunters, and I think it probably averages out pretty close to pretty much the same. But we're talking a 10-day period where they hunt with a rifle, and then we got this long
Sure.
extended time of bow hunters. So if you're talking in that 10-day time, do I get more calls in 10 days than I do rifle or bow season in 10 days? Yes, but it's probably about the same, the extent of the season and the 10 days in rifle season. That
Yeah.
makes sense what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to ask a question. It ain't on this list. And it's a scary question.
Uh-huh.
But that day that I had called you on that deer, I called another tracker.
Uh-huh.
And his fee was just crazy high.
Yeah.
And one of the questions he asked me was, what broadhead did you use?
Yeah.
And when I told him, he insulted my broadhead.
Yeah.
Do you see a common broadhead where you get called?
Oh, I don't know. I don't ask that question, and I can tell you, and I don't think you ever told me who that guy is, but I can tell you who that guy was, and I'm not
You knew exactly who he was.
I'm not going to tell you who that guy
When
is.
we talked today, and every time I hear a situation where a guy tells me, well, this jerk over here, I'm like, I know him. He was not friendly.
No, he's not friendly. He's a very good tracker.
I heard he's good.
He's good. I won't say he's not, but he picks out his tracks.
Right. Sounds like a little more.
He's very particular about his tracks.
Sure.
I mean, I'm pretty same guy that we're talking about, but I mean, he's good. I mean, some of these people can come off a little brash, but they're trying.
He not only insulted me for my broadhead, he insulted me for not hoarding him.
So
he did, dude. He was an old, crabby.
So this same.
If you hear this, you are a mean man.
So he had a gun pulled on him.
He did?
Yes, he had a gun pulled on him.
Not being friendly?
I don't know why he had a gun pulled on him, but it was a big deal.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But he is good. I mean, but he does pick out his tracks.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna come on every track.
That probably helps a little, huh?
Well, I have found deer that he wouldn't go out on that track for. He
Yeah.
said nope, and hang up on the people, and they call me, and I go find the deer.
Sure.
But I mean that's his deal. The rest of the trackers, I don't want everybody getting scared to call a tracker. Most of the rest of the trackers are not that way. They're going to be very friendly and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Matter of fact, the one that you're talking about is no longer a member. So if you go to the Missouri Blood Trackers Association, his name is not going to show up. So don't be scared to call a tracker.
So on that note, Terry, how do people get a hold of you if they're in the need of a tracker?
Well, my phone number is 417-241-1867, and just call me.
Yeah. Give you a buzz.
Yeah, just call me. One thing I'd like people keep in mind, is when there's dry weather. Yeah, I may not come out right away, but if you feel like you're going to need a tracker, give me a call right away.
Okay.
Okay, because I need to kind of make that judgment call, because in dry weather tracks don't last as long,
Sure.
and so I need to kind of make that judgment call. If you have a big buck and you want to make the success rate higher in retrieving that, don't call your buddies and do grid searches.
Yeah.
You know, give me a call. You know,
Yeah.
The worst thing that we do is we're the ones that mess it up.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
I'm definitely guilty of that. I mean, we've had our fair share of grid searches. Most of the time we do find the deer, but in the chance that we didn't, I definitely could see how we would have just destroyed the trail, because
Yep.
we'll track out an entire patch of timber, you
Yeah.
know, and
For sure.
that'd be,
Yeah.
I mean, we've been up and down and back and forth, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't have even thought of that, but it does make a lot of sense.
Oh, yeah,
That's not
yeah.
a good thing to do.
Yeah, to kill that trophy buck, and trophy is different for everybody. You know, some people's 120 is a trophy.
Yeah.
You know, some people, you know, they won't even take a 120.
Sure.
Some people that do. But to kill a big buck, we're at a disadvantage as soon as we wake up and go out. We're at a big disadvantage. Everything that we do, we have to increase that advantage.
Absolutely.
And so once you get that shot and you're not 100% sure that it's a kill shot, you probably need to call a tracker.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's me or go to the Missouri Blood Trackers Association. They have a map with a lot of good trackers, and every one of them trackers had proved themselves, or they wouldn't be on there with their phone number.
Yeah.
And so everything's about increasing your odds, because we're at the disadvantage because we're just human.
Sure.
And so, I mean, you shoot a buck and you go after it, your odds are going down. If you just climb out of your tree and go straight after that deer, everything from that point, your success rate is going down.
Absolutely. And I know it's a hard thing to do, to sit there after you've shot one, especially if it's, you know, a deer that you've been after for a while, because it's,
Yeah.
you know, you want to put your hands
There's
on
an
it.
excitement.
Oh, yeah.
But you got to keep in mind, in the back of your mind, that anything I do from this point, I can either make my success rate better, or I can hurt it.
Yeah, I think that's a definite note to take away, is just because the arrow's been released, the hunt is far from over.
It is,
you know?
it is
Good
far.
point. Good.
Yeah.
Never experienced that. Never shot a buck.
Never shot a buck? Oh.
This year's the year.
I never shot a buck.
This year's the year.
Indiana or here.
Really? Wow. Well, this year's the year then.
Well, is there any more? Did we cover everything?
Are you good, Terry? Feel like you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like we've. There was something I was going to bring up, but it slipped my mind.
It happened to me. There was something that we touched on, and I just cannot remember. I wanted to go back to it, and I couldn't remember. I've been trying to think of it this whole time.
There's a question I had that
Go ahead.
it slipped my
Oh.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, just when you shoot that buck, you know, it's very important, and I want to stress that, is do not hop out of your stand and go straight up to it. You know.
Yeah.
And there, another little, maybe just to be able to talk about, there's a thing called spinal shock. That deer will drop.
This is a good one.
The deer will drop, right? It'll start flopping and stuff. Do a follow-up shot on it. Do not think that your arrow killed it,
Sure.
because that deer will jump up and take off, and you will not find that deer.
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot with rifles.
Yeah.
Both of my daughters have done that.
So yeah, I had a gentleman here in town. He took his daughter out. He owns a business here, and he took his daughter out, shot it, and she wanted to shoot it again. She kept going, "Dad, let me shoot again." "Oh no, it's dead. It's dead. Don't shoot it again." You know, he's afraid to mess up the meat. And it done the whole flopping thing, and it just laid there for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets up. This is kind of funny too. You'll kind of get a kick out of it. It jumps up and takes off. So the first person they called was the guy that you talked to,
Oh yeah.
and he asked him about it, and he said the same thing. He said it was a spinal shock and hung up on him.
This is how this guy rolls, dude.
And so I went ahead and went out there. I told him I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, he's right, because he was telling Mr. Ryan. I said he's right. It's probably not going to be. We're not going to find it. He felt bad because he didn't let his daughter follow up on that shot.
Yeah.
But if a deer just falls over and sits there and flops, you need to follow up on that shot. I've heard stories of deer getting up in the back of people's pickups
Oh man.
and stuff, jumping out
Yeah.
and things. So that spinal shock's a real deal.
Yeah. Just kind of
And you
shuts down their central nervous system for a while, and
Yeah, just kind of shocks them, but they'll just drop. And the flop around, a lot of times, it's kind of a vicious flop,
yeah.
and then they'll just stop.
I've had that happen before with a rifle, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, always allow them to, I know we're in it to be humane and not destroy a lot of things.
Sure.
Always let follow up on a shot.
Yeah.
It looks like that.
Yeah.
Where you drop instantly and flop around.
Yeah.
They may not need to, but
Better safe than sorry.
better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a crazy story that happened to Gary and I earlier this year. My first set of the year, actually. We were hunting a field, and the shot was, we were bow hunting. The shot was rather long, but you know, we shoot a lot out here in distance. We kind of know what we're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Garrett was trying to film, and I wasn't even set up yet. I didn't even have my camera arm on the tree. A doe had come on the other end of the field, and he looked back and he said, "Do you think you got it?" And I looked at this limb, and I thought, if I can clear that limb, I thought maybe I could, you know. I ended up shooting. My arrow hit that limb.
Sit down. Sit.
The deer was standing pretty much broadside, and I seen my arrow hit on video way back in the back. If anything, it would have landed right by her foot.
Yeah.
We ended up hunting, thinking it was clean this. Climbed down about 2 or 3 hours later.
Yeah.
Walking to the truck, Gary said, "You want to go get your arrow?" I'm like, "I doubt we find it." He's like, "I think it's in the cedar tree." We looked at the video. We went over there, and there was piles of gut bile.
Yeah.
No blood, just gut bile.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there scratching our heads, going back, looking at the footage. In no way, shape, or form did that look like it was a hit.
Hit. Yeah.
We start tracking this deer by gut bile. We didn't
Yeah.
find blood
A
for
long ways.
a long ways. I
Yeah.
mean, when I say gut bile, I'm not talking about guts.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the bottom of the belly
Yeah.
opened up.
Yeah.
And we're finding piles of it. I mean, it was almost like horse dung all over this trail. And then we'd come up and we'd find and test it. We'd find, we found lung on the trail.
Found lung. We found the entire stomach before we found it. It was
Wow.
like nothing I'd ever seen.
Yeah,
but
yeah, and they're so amazing that they can do that.
That deer went probably, with all of that happening, that deer still probably went, what, 100, 150 yards?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you know what happened when we found up on it? When we walked up on it, you know what we found? That arrow hit her in the ankle.
Uh-huh.
And when she took off to run, she
Jabbed
stomached
it.
herself with every run.
Yeah, basically it buried that arrow all the way to the fletchings. So the whole arrow
Wow.
shaft was sticking forward, and yeah, it was just,
Yeah.
That's all we found. The arrow was still in the ankle, buried to the fletching. Her belly completely wallowed out
That's
from
wild.
being stabbed.
Yeah, that's incredible. And she went 100 and some yards.
Yeah, it was
dropping
crazy.
organs and
Yeah.
stuff. It's just it's insane how
oh, they're so
tough they are.
I had one last year that I shot. I'd shot her early morning, a doe, and I'd been hunting a decent buck on the same property. And I felt like I'd made a pretty good shot on her. And I was on a field edge, and she went out into the middle of that field, probably 70 yards. And I watched her. She just stood, and then she wobbled, fell down. I was like, awesome. I'm just going to stay here and hunt, you know. I hunted the rest of the morning, and when I got down and went to her, it was just like you said. It was a single lung because of the angle she was at.
Yeah.
And I just got one. And when I got probably 30 yards from that deer, she got up and took off. And I was like, I just watched that deer die like 2 hours ago. You know what happened? And ended up having to follow up. You know, she was weak enough that I was able to follow up. But it's amazing.
It is, and if that would have been a buck, it wouldn't have been that weak, and it would have lived.
Right.
That reminds me, that's the question I wanted to ask. Have you ever seen a single lung die?
Be fatal? I don't think so. I don't believe so.
I've heard that. I've actually seen trail camera photos and heard several stories where a deer will get hit single lung and they will recover and show on camera.
Yeah.
And I've actually seen, there was a story online not too long ago, social media, I think it was last year, a guy had shot a buck, single lung. Matter of fact, I actually think he clipped both lungs and they repaired, he barely got a piece of them and they actually repaired themselves.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably possible.
Yeah.
Usually if they get both lungs, you know,
It was
my
a clip. It was just a
experience,
clip.
yeah,
I
just
mean,
a clip,
It
yeah.
wasn't a full through, you know.
Yeah.
But I'd seen several on single lungs where the later the deer was you know, harvested, and there was just, you could see on that one lung, the guy took it out, documented where it was just, there was some black and rot there, but the other lung was fine
Yeah.
with his fresh cut to it, you know.
Now there is, so we're saying that a single lung shot is not fatal. It's not fatal at the time where you could track it in the next 2-3 days. Sometimes they get infections and they will eventually die.
Mm-hmm.
And but a single lung shot, if you can avoid it, it's just a mess all around. You know, if that's the only shot you got, I'd say don't take it.
Yeah.
You know, because
that's good to know for sure.
Because if it's your buck that you've been chasing for a long time, you single lung that, he's probably going to live 3 or 4 days, but he may get an infection and die somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that buck's out of you're never going to see that buck again. He's going to die. He ain't coming around. So I mean, what did it profit you to take that single lung shot,
Right.
or that bad shot, that iffy shot?
Yeah.
You know, and that's another thing about the success rate. The success rate, if it was going to be really high, you wouldn't need to call us anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bad shot that we're called out on. So again, that you got to take that in consideration. If you didn't see that deer drop, it's not a great shot. You know,
Yeah.
If it took off and went 150 yards, that was not a great shot.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're definitely getting called in after the mess has been made. For sure.
And so if you don't see that deer drop, I would not go after it. You know, I'd call a tracker.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's your trophy buck, you know,
Sure.
Because if you bump that deer up a few times, you know, even like with a gut shot, you know, 150 yards, if you leave it alone, it's going to die within 150 yards, most likely.
Yeah.
If you keep on after that deer, you may never find it.
Just keep pushing it.
You're going to keep pushing it.
Yeah. What's the time you usually like to give? Say somebody calls, say tonight I went out and shot, and I know my shot's back, you know, and I call you and I say, Terry, you know, it was broadside, but I'm definitely back in the guts. How long are you gonna wait before Oreo starts trying to find that deer?
With the gut shot, you know, I'd say 6-7 hours minimum.
Yeah.
You know, depending on the weather. If we're in really dry weather, you kind of got to play that in there. It's an obstacle that we
Sure.
have. You know, I would give it as much time, you know, that I could. I mean, I wouldn't give it like 24 hours or anything like that, because, you know, your dog still pick up a deer at 24 hours a lot of times, good trained dog, but it's more difficult,
Yeah.
you know. But if you can give a gut shot 8-9 hours,
Yeah,
I'd give it. But sometimes if the weather's dry, you just can't give it that
Sure.
long because the scent doesn't hold strong. It doesn't have nothing attached. It just absorbs into
yeah.
the ground.
It's probably tough right now around this area then. 'Cause
It
we
is
have
pretty
been so
tough.
dry.
A lot of times in this type of situation, we'll wait until night ground that helps moisten it back up a little bit. So, like, I like tracking in the daytime. Obviously, because you can kind of see better what's going on.
Yeah,
But sometimes you just have to track at night when the dew's on the ground, freshens that scent up a little bit, and
Yeah.
helps the dog find that deer.
sure. Yeah, that makes sense. So maybe best case would be to, if it's an evening hunt, just try back first thing in the morning or something when
Yeah,
you
first thing
got
in the
that
morning,
dew
yeah.
and you got a little daylight.
But again, in fall, if you're sure your shot's not bad, or you're sure your shot's bad, and you don't think that you're going to find that deer, you need to call a tracker immediately.
Yeah,
If even get on the list, that's a lot of times.
Yeah.
Depending on what type, like I said, it's kind of slow down. Phases with bow hunters and stuff, and there is phases. You can definitely your track when the bucks are stirring and when they're not,
Sure.
by the phone calls and
That
stuff.
might be, we might need to give Terry a
start
call.
calling Terry.
Hey, you get
Go
tracked.
on here with Terry.
Yeah,
But you definitely want to get on the list at least, and then you want to make sure you want to talk to him because he knows his dog, and he knows how long he really needs to wait to get on that track.
Yeah.
Because of the weather and all that.
absolutely.
And I know sometimes $100 seems like a lot, but it ain't that much. I mean, when you're talking about the time of the tractor, the gas, some of them charge more.
Right.
But I think
That's
that's
less than
Well, I
$1
think
an inch.
$100 is very reasonable. And honestly,
So-
I mean, as a hunter, it's kind of our duty to do everything we possibly can to recover that animal. I mean, just from an ethical standpoint, that's kind of our job. I feel like.
Yeah. And a person may, because when we go out, we'll buy the top bows and the top brand arrows and the releases and all that. So maybe that needs to be worked into a budget where you put $100 back.
Absolutely.
That's a good,
Yeah.
so that's actually a very good tip.
Yeah.
Put $100 up for a tracker's fee. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
like
and if
that.
you don't
That-
use
that
it at
needs
the
to
end
be
of the
part of
season,
your
you got a little
equipment.
bonus,
Yeah. Be
Yeah.
part of your equipment there. Because, I mean, we're all about ethical hunts, recovering the deer, and all that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that aids in recovering the deer. That's just part of the hunt.
Absolutely. That's a good point, Terry, for sure.
Yeah.
Is there a particular bow you get more calls for?
No.
John's bow.
What kind of bow do you use?
That's another.
Yeah, don't call me, okay? What kind of broadhead do you use?
Terry, we appreciate you coming.
Yeah,
We hope we don't need you this season.
I hope you don't either, but just play it smart, do everything right. Don't push your deers. Give them a little time. No matter if you think it's a double lung, give them a little time. What does it hurt?
Right. Practice a little discipline.
Practice a little discipline. Try to hold off on your shots. Try to get that perfect shot placement. I know a lot of times people get in a hurry. They first see that deer, they get in a hurry to let the arrow fly or that bullet fly and stuff. Here's the truth about that. You do that, you've lost that buck that you've been hunting. You may never recover that buck. So just practice a little patience, man. Take a breath.
Definitely work.
Take a breath. Yeah, just calm down and look at the situation. Don't pull back on your bow too soon. A lot of people pull back on their bows too soon, and they're sitting there holding it. They start wobbling and stuff. I personally, when I bow hunted a lot, and it made a lot of people, oh, that's silly. I pulled it back, done a fluid motion, shot. all pretty much at the same time. I didn't draw back. Them deer sometimes will bust you, but most of the time they won't. You know, they'll kind of stop, maybe look up. But by that time, if you're doing that whole thing in a fluid motion, you've already dropped the arrow on it, and it's dead. So I know a lot of people pull back that bow and they'll sit there and start shake.
Yeah, it's a lot. A lot goes on in a very short period of time.
Yeah. I mean, even try that on your targets. You know, just pull back, don't hold it very long, get your shot, and get your shots will be better a lot of times. Instead of you holding it double, you know, saying, "Well, I'm not sure that's right."
Hey, listen, I think it is, for me, I think I'm more accurate when I pull up and when I see it on there, I let it
Go. That's what I'm
The
talking.
longer I sit,
Yeah.
the worse I get.
That's what I'm talking about. That fluid motion. Yeah. Yeah.
I will agree with that. But some people call it target head. apparently.
Well, there's a difference in target panic. You just let that thing fly without.
I'm gonna cut this off and then we can continue talking. So, but I want to end on this. Thanks for watching, guys. We're gonna post Terry Asher's information with this upload. He's local here. Good luck to everybody this season. We'll see you soon.